Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1542, and today's date is April 11th, 2018, and the title of the episode is The Strike Group is the Show, Trust the Plan, a Plan Within a Plan. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. Today is a special report. I'm only going to focus on what is happening out in the Middle East, what Trump is about to do. Are we going to war? Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. So here we are at the moment of truth. And Q has been dropping a lot of intel, telling us many different things. Now, a lot of individuals out there believe Q is a complete psyop, that Q is not real, Q is made up. Other individuals are looking at Q saying, yes, this is definitely Trump and his advisors giving us intel drops, letting us know what is happening. Well, at this point, this is the moment of truth right now to see if Q is really working with the people and understands what is going on. Because if you read the intel drops, Q has been telling us about the Parkland shooting, about the actors, about McCain with ISIS, with the clowned report, it needs to be verified on this latest chemical attack, about the troop withdrawal from Syria that is still happening. Now, if we get into war, well, guess what? All of this goes down the drain. We're at war with Russia, and it doesn't matter who's right, who's wrong, because maybe there won't be anyone left to even discuss it after everything is all said and done. But I don't think we're headed in that direction, because there are so many different indicators that are showing us that Trump likes to put on a very big show. And if we go back to North Korea, that's what Trump did during that entire period. Now remember, during that period, the corporate media, all the talking heads were out there telling us how many casualties are going to be, how North Korea can fire a missile, hit Chicago, hit Alaska, hit everywhere in the United States. There could be an EMP, and they were telling us that there are war plans already drawn up. This is how many casualties there'll be. And behind the scenes, while all that was going on, Russia, China, United States, they were talking to Kim Jong-un, talking about peace. Behind the scenes, without anyone even knowing, there was a meeting that was taking place in the Forbidden City in China where a peace deal was laid out. And to prove this, there was a military drill, which is going on right now, and we haven't heard a peep out of Kim Jong-un. Now, Q has also told us that we need to follow the resignations. He said this back in March of 28th. And he said to follow business and government. We see Paul Ryan right now, and he's saying this is his last year. He's resigning after this. And we're going to see many other individuals resign. Maybe Zuckerberg is going to resign. And we're going to see a lot of other government officials start to resign. This is the moment of truth right now, of pretty much everything. Because remember, behind all of this are the neocons, the deep state, where they need this war. They need this cover-up for the economic situation and for all the crimes they've committed. And we know that Trump and Q, they've been telling us about this wall. It's much bigger than anything that we can realize. Because remember, the deep state, they get their funding from drug trade, running guns, human trafficking. And we can see right now that Trump just signed the first online sex trafficking act. He's going to allow states and victims to fight online sex trafficking. We're going to do everything, he said, in our power to make sure traffickers are brought to a swift and firm justice. Now, all of this is being prepared for the time when all these sealed documents are broken, and this is supposedly happening very soon, And when we're seeing individuals being brought in now, a lot of these individuals, they are just the first layer, because remember, this goes deep. This is why they're called the deep state. And we're going to see layer after layer, and we're going to see how far this goes. But they're going to start at the top. And a lot of these government officials, like Maxine Waters and the rest, they're talking heads. But we have to see who is the controlling power of all of this. And I don't think it's just one individual sitting down there behind the curtain. I think there are many of them, and many of them are in the intelligence agency. So right now, we're dealing with this false flag in Syria. Now, we knew that the deep state, they were becoming very, very desperate. They were backed into a corner. They needed to get something started, and they were planning on a gas attack for quite a while. Russia reported on how they stopped a gas attack in Ghouta many, many times, and we've seen pictures where they brought in chemicals they were getting ready to film, and each time it was stopped. So they were basically preparing this next round in Duma. Now, the funny thing is that Russia has been in this area, and they cannot find any evidence whatsoever that anything even happened in this area. Now, the White Helmets, which is a made-up organization that works very close to with the deep state, with Al-Qaeda, the Islamic State, and they film and they prepare these false flags, and they pretend they're going in to rescue, these individuals. Now, Russian specialists, they have visited this region. They walked on those streets, entered those houses, talked to local doctors, including its basement where reportedly the mountains of corpses piled up. There was not a single corpse and not even a single person who came in for treatment after the attack. Russia's saying there was no chemical attack in Duma, pure and simple. We've seen another stage event. Russia said its experts, its radiological, chemical, and biological warfare, along with medics, they can't find anything. Nothing happened here. There are no traces of any type of chemical agents whatsoever. So this is kind of strange. But the UK, France, Israel, the United States, they're all saying, yes, Assad did it, and we don't need any proof. Well, of course we need proof. We need evidence. And Q did say the clown's report needs to be verified. So what we're seeing right now is another false flag. And Trump is out there doing what he does best. He's playing to the corporate media. I know it's very difficult to understand this game, because when you hear this, just like we heard him say that our nuclear button is bigger than Kim Jong-un's nuclear button, this was playing to the media, keeping them very, very busy, while the real work was behind the scenes, where they were laying out this peace negotiations that actually took place already. This is why Trump is out there tweeting, Russia vows to shoot down any and all missiles fired at Syria. Get ready, Russia, because they'll be coming nice and new and smart. And he said to Putin, you shouldn't be partners with a gas-killing animal who kills his people and enjoys it. Think about what he's saying here right now, where he's warning Russia, warning Syria that we're coming to attack. What kind of strategy is this? This makes no sense whatsoever. Now, Putin is out there, and he is saying, listen, if you try to attack Russia, Russia will respond. And we know right now, why would Trump, at this point in time, attack Russia? I mean, think about it. Why didn't he just start the war with North Korea and have a war with Russia? Why would he put a peace deal together in North Korea but start a war in Syria where Russia is? This makes no sense. Let's go a little bit further here. The U.S. says they do not feel too obliged to wait for the results of the international investigation into the alleged chemical attack in Syria's Duma. Regardless of the Organization for Prohibition of Chemical Weapons investigation or some other international mechanism, the U.S. could decide if an attack on Syria's bloody dictator should be accomplished or not. And this is coming from the U.S. State Department. And once again, why don't they want to wait for an investigation? Why are they in such a rush to attack Syria? Well, while this is going on, since the warnings came out where Trump is announcing to everyone that the United States is going to attack, Assad is moving all his military forces away from their air bases and moving them towards Russian air bases. Now, of course, this is coming from the corporate media. None of this can be verified. And again, if you're going to attack someone, why make the announcement? It makes no sense. So if we take a look at what has happened here, we see a couple of things. On April 10th, a meeting of the UN Security Council took place amid open U.S. preparations to attack Syria. 3 resolutions on the independent mechanism of investigation over the alleged chemical attack were drafted. The first resolution was introduced by the USA and vetoed by Russia. It was the 12th time Russian vetoed to block the UN Security Council action on Syria. And of course, Nikki Haley slammed Russia. History will record that on this day, Russia chose to protect a monster over the lives of the Syrian people. Well, actually, Russia is protecting the lives of the Syrian people from the terrorists. So Nikki Haley has that wrong. In response, Russia's permanent representative to the UN vowed to carry out the joint international investigation of the Duma incident. He emphasized that the U.S. moves are designed to mask reality. The second draft was proposed by Russia. According to it, there would be established the mechanism for 1 year, but would have given the UN Security Council the responsibility to assign responsibility for the use of chemical weapons in Syria. 7 countries, including the vetoed ones, rejected this resolution. The third draft was also penned by Russia. It concerned the work of the Organization of the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW fact-finding mission. During the UNSC meeting, the Russian delegate revealed that 2 groups of the UN chemical watchdogs experts will leave for Syria. Right now, the OPCW, 2 experts, teams of experts, are going to be sent to Syria at the end of the week. Now, this is very interesting. They're going to be sending the OPCW 2 teams to Syria to investigate what is going on. Now, the OPCW is going to meet on the 16th of April to discuss the Syria solution. And they're going to basically look at what has happened. Now, Russia is saying the United States is rushing to move to attack Syria so they can hide all the evidence. Well, that's absolutely right. They want to hide what really happened because you know what happened there? Nothing. It was a false flag. Why would the United States, the deep state, the neocons, want to attack a country without doing any type of an investigation to make sure, without any type of doubt, that Assad actually did this? To cover up the fakeness of the entire thing. Now, Russia has secured the area where the alleged chemical attack took place inside the East Ghouta town of Duma. So that whole area is now secured. Russia has set up all their missile systems to counter any type of an attack. Their jamming systems are online, and the corporate media is out there, and they're building this up like World War III is coming. They're even saying that 11 Russian warships left the Syrian port. Well, they left the port because it was a scheduled exercise. This has nothing to do with what is happening right now in Syria. It was scheduled, and they left the area. Now, while all this is going on, the deep state, the neocons, those individuals that want Trump gone, they're already preparing to impeach Trump. And Francis Boyle, professor of international law at the University of Illinois College of Law, said any U.S. attack targeting the Syrian government or its forces would clearly violate both U.S. and international law. So if the United States and Trump goes ahead and he fires these missiles and hits Assad or any of his forces, they can impeach him because of what he just did. Do I think Trump is going to do this? No, I don't. Trump is not going to be going after Assad. Putin is out there, and he's saying that he hopes common sense will prevail as the modern world grows more chaotic. He added that the present international situation, which has been marred not only by tensions surrounding the Syria gas attack, but also the poisoning of former Russian Sergei Skripal, is very troubling. He added that Moscow will continue to strengthen global and regional security and will honor its international responsibilities and develop cooperation with our partners on a constructive and respectful basis. Trump also tweeted, "Our relationship with Russia is worse now than it has ever been." And that includes the Cold War. Why? Because the deep state, the neocons, have made it so. They've made the relationship with Russia really, really bad. Trump has been trying to repair this. He went on to say, there is no reason for this. Russia needs us to help with their economy, something that would be very easy to do, and we need all nations to work together, stop the arms race. So Trump was supposed to make a decision today, and basically after meeting with James Mattis and the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Joseph Dunford, they decided, let's not strike Syria right now. Now it's being reported that he'll make this decision this evening. Now we need to remember that the strike group that is headed towards Syria, they are now estimating that this strike group will not get there until May. Now, didn't something like this happen in North Korea where there were aircraft carriers or destroyers sailing to North Korea and actually they went someplace else and kind of tricked the corporate media into thinking that we're going to attack? And, there was a lot of confusion of why the ships weren't headed towards North Korea. Well, the strike group is the show. It's going to take them a very long time to get there. This was done on purpose. And we're going to explain why this strike group is actually taking so long to get there. Let's go back and discuss what this plan really is. It's a plan inside of a plan. And it's very hard to wrap your head around what is going on because when you look at everything, it seems like war is coming. Trump is going to completely attack Syria, try to hit Assad, get Russia involved, and we're heading to World War III. But if you take what Trump has done in the past, you kind of can make out what the actual strategy is. So here we are. We have North Korea, where during this period of time, everyone thought we were going to war. They were drawing up war plans. They were ready to go in. In the background, he created this peace deal. He removed the deep state from North Korea. They were trying to orchestrate a war. That whole thing is all said and done. Trump is out there continually saying that the P5+1 deal is terrible. He says we need to get rid of it. What happened here is something that we don't want. Now, we need to understand, and you're going to see how this all plays into everything. The deep state, Obama and the rest, why they decided to put the deal in place. One, it was to keep Iran from creating a nuclear weapon. Remember, the deep state operatives are inside of Iran. And they don't like to have regime change in a country when they have nuclear weapons. This is why they wanted us to go into North Korea before they were able to develop a nuclear weapon. This is why they kept on pushing those news reports, which I don't even think it was coming from Kim Jong-un. I think all those reports that were being pushed out into the corporate media outlets, they were coming from the operatives inside of North Korea. The same thing with Iran. When you hear these blurbs of Iran saying, we're going to wipe the United States off the face of the earth, this is coming from the deep state operatives inside of Iran. So they put together this plan, P5+1, to keep an eye on Iran, to make sure they didn't create a nuclear weapon, because their plan was to go into Syria, remove Assad, and then eventually have regime change in Iran. That was their plan. And they knew it was taking them much longer than they thought it was going to be to get Syria. So they said, okay, we need to do something to stop Iran where they can create a nuclear weapon. Because if this continues on, they're going to actually have a nuclear weapon. So basically they put this together to stop them, because this way they can go in and have regime change. Plus, they could use this deal to make it look like Iran broke it and this is why we're invading. So this was planned from the very, very beginning. So on March 28th, post 964, Q said Iran is next. So North Korea was first. The peace plan was put into place there. The next was Iran. And that's why I gave you all that background. Bolton then was brought into the picture. Now, I know he's an econ. He's a warmonger. He tried to get war going in Iran. He wants to get rid of the P5+1 deal. Think about this for a second. Trump is using him. They're keeping him very closely monitored. Right now, Q is saying trust Bolton, because what they are doing is they're keeping an eye on him. He's cleaning house, and they're going to use him. I know he's a warmonger. I know he's a neocon, but his strength will be able to get rid of the P5+1 deal. That's what they're going to use him for, because Iran is next. And it's going to allow Trump and the Patriots to go into Iran and get the deep state, just like they did in North Korea. Now, to do this, he needs to bring some forces into the area. And he can't sail warships for no reason over to this area, and because people would question it. So how do you do that? How do you bring troops? Because one, remember, Trump already mentioned that he's going to be withdrawing the troops from Syria. Q backed that up, saying, yes, the troop removal is still in play. Trump announced this, where he said he was going to withdraw the troops from Syria. He did this in a speech in Ohio. He said he was completely against the war in Syria, a waste of trillions and trillions of dollars, not just in Syria, but, Iraq, Libya, Lebanon, and the rest. And once he made this announcement, and this was done on purpose, he wanted to push the deep state into doing something. They already knew that they were planning a false flag. He wanted them to carry this out, because this is part of the plan. The corporate media, once he mentioned troop withdrawal, the corporate media went crazy. The deep state started to think to themselves, holy crap, if they remove the troops, we're done. We need to do something to keep the troops there and to start this war already. Let's push the false flag. Now, Trump is working with Putin on this. That's what all those phone calls and communication actually behind the scenes were all about. He's involved in this operation. Why is Russia involved? What is the roadblock in Syria? Now, Russia, Syria, and Iran have been doing a great job getting rid of the Islamic State. They're stuck right now because in certain areas, the U.S. troops are there. The Islamic State, Al-Qaeda, moderate rebels, Syrian Democratic Forces, and the rest are being protected by who? The United States troops, the deep state. They're using the troops to protect their assets. So right now, that is the roadblock for Russia, Syria, and Iran. They can't go any further to completely eliminate the paid mercenary army of the deep state. So basically, the troops need to be removed. So how do you do this? Well, you need to create something, and you need to bring in forces. You need to push the deep state, and you have to have them show their hand. Because they need to have Russia, Syria, and Iran go into this area and completely remove the rest of the terrorist factions, the deep state army. So Trump is not going after Assad. This was planned so they can finish the operation in Syria, and to do this, Trump needed to bring the fleet into this area, not just to bring the troops home and the military assets out of this area, but to push a new agenda with Iran. Now remember, Q mentioned the clown's report needs to be verified, and verified is in all caps, which tells me they already know that this chemical attack is a false flag. Now, the strike group is going to take days to reach the destination. During this time, Russia is inspecting the area, the OPCW will inspect the area, and the new report that is issued is going to show that Assad did not do this. This will allow the entire military operation to basically wind down, will give Trump the excuse of why he doesn't have to attack. Now, the ships now will be in place very close to Iran. And this will allow for the next phase, where they're going to be going after the deep state because Iran is next. And during this period of time, the troops will be removed. They'll be withdrawn from Syria, and the operation with Iran will be next. So this plan that has been set up is moving in that direction. So this is a plan inside of a plan. Now, the other side to this is what happens if the individuals convince Trump that it was Assad. And from Q, we're seeing that the clown report has to be verified. And from everything that we've been looking at, everything that Russia's been saying, we can see right now that this whole thing has been completely made up. But let's say that he does fire missiles. Think about what happened when he fired the Tomahawk missiles into Syria the last time. The entire airfield, air base was evacuated. The United States hit nothing. The airfield was operational in a couple of hours. And did that change anything? No. But do I think that it's going to get that far? No, because I think if he does fire the missiles, he's going to open himself up to an impeachment. They're going to go after the international law. Trump has been saying that, we need to bring back the rule of law. And if he does this, this is going to be a huge problem. And I think right now he is working with Putin, working on this operation to flush the deep state out of this area, to destroy the Islamic State, Al-Qaeda, Syrian Democratic Forces, and the rest, and allow Russia, Syria, and Iran to move into these regions where the deep state set up all these bases, where they're protecting their assets. So the best thing I think that Trump should do at this point, which it seems like this is what he's doing, is he should come out and say, we need to wait for the evidence. We need to verify without any reasonable doubt that Assad was behind this. And we need all the evidence to be presented to show that he actually used the gas and killed all these people. Because what we can see from all the evidence that is pouring in right now, there really hasn't been a gas attack. They can't find bodies. They've spoken to doctors. They can't find any chemical agents. There's a problem here. Something doesn't fit. It's almost like the Skripal case, where all the pieces don't fit. So the best thing for him to do right now is to say, let's wait for the evidence. Let's wait for the OPCW. Let's wait for the information to come in. Then we will make our decision. I mean, isn't this what Putin does? He doesn't react. He doesn't say, hey, we're going to start World War III. I mean, look, Russia's plane was shot out of the air by Turkey. Did Russia turn around and bomb Turkey? No. Russia doesn't work that way. And I don't believe Trump works that way either. Yes, he's using different tactics. Yes, he's playing with the corporate media. But when it's all said and done, and we look at North Korea, he didn't do any of those things that were said on the corporate media. He didn't do any of those things that McMaster's said he was going to do, where they were planning an invasion, they were ready to go in, the plans were drawn up. None of that happened. And I think the same thing is going to happen here in Syria, where all of a sudden things are going to take a left turn. And all of this was in preparation to move to the next phase. Withdrawal of the troops, getting the deep state out of Iran, getting rid of the P5+1 deal, which was put into place on purpose to trap Iran. And I think the next phase is being orchestrated and set up. And the deep state has no clue in what is going on right now. All they can see is war. War, and that's all they want, because they realize what is happening right now. The walls are closing in on them. They know they only have a certain period of time. They need a huge distraction, because if they don't get that distraction and they don't get that war, guess what? All these individuals, the deep state, they're screwed. And this is what they're most afraid of. And this is why they plan these events. This is why they set all of these up, to distract from what is really happening. The central banks do the same exact thing. They push us into war to distract us from economic collapse. And we can see both factions are following the same plan. Trump's plan is very different. Trump's plan is to corner these animals. And I don't mean Assad. And the way he does this, he leads them into the idea that there's going to be war. He plays along with them. And once he has them in and have them spouting out, war, we should go in there, we should attack, why are we waiting? Well, then he turns the table on them. And then he moves towards his other plan of having peace, of withdrawing the troops, of removing the deep state from Iran, removing and doing everything the deep state doesn't want, just like he did with North Korea. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.